Hey science fans, welcome to the revision video about the eye. This is 3 PowerPoints put together. You're going to need to pause it as you go through, do some diagrams and look at the documents on Show My Homework. If you can't download and can't print, because I don't have a printer at home, just do a sketch. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is about learning revision notes and just repeating. Yeah, crack on, hope you're going well. Well done. There will be some work on Doddle also.
Hi, Year 9 or triple students in general. So I have stolen this PowerPoint off of another teacher, so thank you for that. And we're going to look at the eye. Now, the eye has come up somewhat in the exams before, but not in huge detail. You need to be able to relate the structures to their functions. You need to know how the eye is adapted to see in different lightings. You need to know issues with the eye and problems and how they are fixed. Okay, so let's start, shall we? Let's start with, so if you go on to the previous lesson, there's a brain worksheet. Do keep testing yourself. We need to start with the diagram of the eye. I'll make sure I link that on Show My Homework portal. So you need to know all of the labels of the eye, the main ones, and there is some key vocabulary you need to know on these. So the main ones are this one with the blue dot at the top, which is just here, the ciliary muscle. You need to know the cornea on the outside, the iris, the pupil, etc. You can pause the video here if you want to. And welcome back, and here it is labelled, fantastic. You need to know what each part of the eye does. I'm just going to check whether I think these link. Oh, they do, they link in colour, so you can always go back. So the really important ones are the suspensory ligaments and the ciliary muscle that change the shape of the lens to focus the light on the retina at the back of the eye. You need to make sure you're using the right vocabulary. So ciliary muscles contract, whereas the suspensory ligaments tighten and loosen. If you put the word relax, you won't get any marks. So really, really important to go through these very slowly. I suggest making glossary cards so that you can go through and you can actually test yourself on the keywords and what they do. We will do an eye dissection. That is the next thing that's coming up, but not everyone will have to do it, but we will do one of those later on. Here is a dingbat for a part of the eye. I'll give you a second. That is corn and an ear. So that's the cornea. How exciting. So how do we see in colour? So something kind of cells in the eye convert something into something of the nervous impulse. So let's go through these. So we have certain cells that detect light called receptor cells, and they convert light energy into electrical energy as a nervous impulse. The receptor cells in the retina perceive the colour are called cones. You have two types of cells in your retina, rods and cones, and it's the cones that see colour, and it's the rods that see light and dark, essentially. There we go, in case you didn't get those sentences. So we have two sets of muscles that allow us to change the amount of light that is coming into the eye. In low light intensities, rods are more sensitive than cones. So rods are able to distinguish between light and dark. So if it's dim light, the muscles in the iris around the iris contract to allow more light to go into the eye, and that's why we say it's dilated. It's one of the reasons why the first thing we do to check someone's reflexes in an emergency is shine a light in someone's eyes, because if they have the reflex to contract the pupils, so allow less light to enter when you stimulate it with light, it means that bonjour triple students. So today we're going to quickly look at, I keep saying so today, it's all on the same day for me. We're going to be thinking about how your eyes see things in focus. So we're going to recap the structures. We are going to look at blind spots. We're going to look at diverging light. We're going to look at accommodation. And how your eye focuses on different objects. So let's get cracking. So I'll link up a worksheet to this as well, which has exam questions and things on previous learning. So Look out for links for those. This is quite an interesting thing that you can do to find your blind spot. So everybody has a blind spot. It just depends where your focus is in the shape of your face, really. So it says cut out the image below and stick it in the centre of a blank piece of paper or card. If you can do it, focus it on the screen. I'm not sure how well it works, but you can try that. Close your right eye, hold the image about 30 centimetres away and look at the cross with your left eye. Slowly bring the image closer towards you and continue looking at the cross. And then when the image falls into your blind spot, and then do it with the other eye, a certain distance the cross will just disappear, and that means it's fallen into your blind spot. So measure the distance that the card or paper has moved from the start when the blind spot became apparent. So you can actually measure, and different people, depending on the shape of their eye, will have different blind spots. So it's quite good fun. So let's think about what we did last lesson. So we were looking at how you see colour and the type of cells. So the receptor cells in the eye convert light into electrical impulses, and receptor cells that perceive colour are called cones in the retina. So in the retina that perceive are called cones. And we remembered that we looked at the difference between dim light and bright light, and how rods look at the different intensities of light, bright and dim. You need to learn the labels for these, particularly for triple, and understand how those work. Let's talk about accommodation. Let's talk about how we focus an image on the retina, and how we could actually make the wording better on this diagram. So let's have a look at this diagram. Light from the object is bent by the cornea. Now, saying that light bends is not really good science. We need to be using key vocabulary. So we would say that it refracts. So if you've got this diagram drawn, don't include the word bent, because that doesn't really help. And then we've got further bending of light, and fine focusing is done by the lens. Again, the lens produces even more refraction. So further refraction of light happens on the lens. The focusing isn't done by the lens, so it allows the light to focus using a lens, but the lens just refracts the light so that it focuses on the retina. So the back of the eye where that is hitting, that is the retina. So image is brought to a focus on the retina, and then down at the bottom, it says on the right there, doesn't it? Light is focused sharply on the macula of the retina. So just saying that light is refracted and focused on the retina is perfect. And then at the bottom, we've got the optic nerve carries the electrical impulses. And there are the words you should have added to your diagram. How do we focus on different objects near and far? You can see cameras sort of struggle with this when they don't know what they're focusing on, and some things go blurry but the background's clear, and vice versa. So it's kind of good while you're sitting there in your room or wherever you are, just have a look at a close object and then see if you can feel what your eye is doing to focus on a distant object. Your lens changes shape to focus the rays to make sure they focus on the retina nicely. Let's have a look at what happens when you see a distant object. So the light rays are essentially parallel as they come into your lens, and then they refract by the cornea, and they refract further using the lens. Not too much refraction is required when something is quite far away. So the lens is kind of thin, it's not particularly fat. Your ciliary muscles are relaxed. Your suspensory ligaments are not tight particularly, but they're not loosened, and we have this refraction that happens to focus the light on the retina. Focus the light on the retina is one of those sentences you must always say. So let's look at nearer objects. The nearer objects are closer, so therefore the light isn't going to be travelling parallel from them, and so we have way more refraction that needs to occur. So the lens gets thicker. And it gets thicker because the ciliary muscles contract, the suspensory ligaments loosen or relax, and then we get more refraction, so they focus more clearly on the retina. This is called accommodation. So the ability of your eye to change focus is called accommodation. And if you can't accommodate images, it means that you would need to wear glasses, or you have a myopia or a hyperopia. You're not able to do that. So here is another more scientific diagram. So if we're looking at distant objects, the ciliary muscles relax and the suspensory ligaments are pulled tight or not loosened, essentially, but do not use relax and contract for a ligament. They don't do that. The lens is pulled thin and the rays are refracted less, but still focused on the retina. And in near objects, the ciliary muscles contract. The suspensory ligaments loosen. They don't relax, they loosen, and the lens gets thicker. I don't know a brilliant way of remembering these particularly. I suppose you could think of distant objects, the ciliary muscles relax. So if you fly away to a faraway place, you become more relaxed. And the closer certain people are to you, you can get quite stressed and your muscles contract. Maybe, I don't know. Think of a welcome back year 9 and another shout out to the person that made this PowerPoint that I've adapted for you. Today, you can probably just do this straight after the other one because the other one was really about labelling and that could take a while, but you could also get through it quite quickly and it might be just having to wash, rinse, repeat essentially. So keep learning them. So today we're looking at myopia and hyperopia. So essentially issues that the eye has or defects that the eye has that means they're not able to focus light on the retina correctly. So when we look at anything, the aim of your eye configuration and your lens is to refract light so that it focuses on the retina. Remember that sentence, refracts light to focus on the retina, because that is essentially what your eye is doing, and the retina will take that light energy, convert it to electrical impulse and allow you to see the world around you. Now, the next slide, we're going to look at the missing vowels. So you've got the correct words. I'd pause it now. I think most of you could probably do that again when we're looking at the brain. You just need the beginning and the end for a lot of them. Some of them will be harder than others. Here are the answers. There we go. So we've got cornea, that's the outside of the eye. The lens is the part that changes shape to allow refraction and focus. We've got the pupil, the iris suspensory ligaments that tighten and loosen, not contract and relax. Ciliary muscles contract and relax. You've got the optic nerve that takes the information from the retina to the brain. Oh, we haven't spoken about blind spot, but everybody has this. I think I attached the blind spot test to the or I will attach it to this. Accommodation is how your eye actually changes shape, or your lens changes shape to allow light to focus on your retina. Refraction is the bending of light through a different medium, and your lens does that to light. The word parallel means parallel, in straight line, horizontal line, something. Diverge is so we have diverging lenses and converging lenses. So diverge essentially means taking light in a different direction, I suppose, away, converging, diverging. So it's a good use of words. Myopia and hyperopia are the two types of eye defects that we're going to look at today. Laser surgery and contact lenses are both ways we can fix those. So how is an image formed on the retina? So this one we need to know, and I suggest that you draw this. So the eye focuses on the retina by refracting via the lens. There's going to be a picture on the next slide of myopia, so having short sight. You can see at the top in the diagram here, light is being refracted, but it is not reaching the retina, so it's not refracting at the same amount. So if someone is short-sighted, they can see things at short distance, but they can't see things further away. And generally this happens because your eyeball is too long, or the cornea is too sharply curved, and it's essentially the light is refracted, so it doesn't focus on the retina. And you can see here that someone is using a concave lens glasses to correct that. So you are diverging the light somewhat. If you've got hyperopia, you are long-sighted, which means you can see objects that are further away, but you struggle to see them nearby. Now, often this is a shorter eyeball, or the lens isn't thick enough, so it doesn't refract the light enough, or the cornea is not curved enough, and so the image falls behind the retina. So you use a convex lens to refract the light further so that the light is then focused on the retina. Okay, so what does each picture show here? So picture A is showing light going into the eye and refracting through the lens and focusing on at the point of retina. So this is actually a very, very normal eye for A. Let's look at number B. So B, we've got a long lens, a long eye, and we've got the light is refracting too much, so it essentially is focusing before the retina. So this person has myopia. They've got short-sightedness. The one at the bottom, we've got a shorter eye with the refraction not being enough. So this person has got hyperopia. And D is an interesting one. So we've got different types of light focusing in different places. So this person, we haven't spoken about this kind of person. This person's got astigmatism. So that is worth something else to look up, to be honest. So what I've added to this, your homework is a set of information on contact lenses, laser eye surgery, and new technologies. You need to know advantages and disadvantages for both of those. So that is definitely something that you can look up and sort of do a summary with it in your own time. Goodbye.